Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. It was a winter wonderland. It did not have the full effect in the first half, but AFC North football at its finest. And start of week number 12 in the NFL, Russell Wilson and the Pittsburgh Steelers taking their terrible towels and visiting Jameis Winston and the Brownies here. Al Michaels and Herb Street were there calling the game on the Amazon. Now, we're not sure if you watch or not, maybe not, but Nick Chuba doing the, I guess we should call it the polar plunge, a 2-yard touchdown run in heavy snowy conditions with less than a minute to go in the game, and Cleveland leaving Pittsburgh stunned 24-19. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Don't let the snow hit your ass on the way out. So the 5-game winning streak for the Steelers is over. The Browns, the lowly Browns, win their third game of the year. They're 3-8 now. They had blown a 12-point lead in the fourth quarter. They were down by a point, 19-18, before getting the ball back with 3 minutes and 22 seconds remaining. And that was courtesy of great field position because the Pittsburgh punter, Corliss Waitman, who will be waiting tables soon, shanked a 16-yard punt, and the snow kept piling up higher and higher and higher, covering the yard lines on the field there. Although on the TV broadcast, they used some special graphics to make it look all pretty. But Jameis Winston on a key third down, courtesy of a Mike Tomlin decision regarding the penalty. We'll get to that in a minute, a penalty call to take it or not take the penalty. But Jameis Winston completed a third down pass to ex-Bronco Jerry Jeudy. What can Judge Judy do for you? Jerry Jeudy, that got the ball all the way down to the Pittsburgh 9-yard line, and then 2 plays later, as we mentioned there, Nick Chubb, the polar plunge in the end zone, and they win, the Browns with the win. The better story, though, is in the losing locker room. The losers. The losers. So that is where we begin. So let's discuss the question. Who takes the blame for the Steelers getting a case of, shall we say, frostbite in Cleveland? So I've got hitchhike, formula, and sweetness. And we'll put all of these things together. We'll put them in a basket, and we'll leave home. We'll just leave them at the house is what we're going to do. So, let's start with Mike Tomlin. Okay, Mike Tomlin. We like Mike Tomlin. Great soundbite, Mike Tomlin. This was a sloppy performance, right? Lack of focus at the start of the game. And the first half, it was snowing, but the snow was not sticking. It was not terrible conditions in terms of the field and whatnot at the beginning part of the game. It really was the second half where things took a turn to the wild side. And the Steelers, though, came out, and they were just lackluster. It's like one of those games, and you look at it, and historically, Mike Tomlin coached teams when they are on the road and favored, they don't do very well. They don't. And you thought, well, maybe it'd be different this time, and it wasn't. There was little attention to detail. The Steelers' offense had not one but 2 turnovers on downs. There was the early missed field goal for Pittsburgh. There was poor clock management at the end of the first half, bad use of timeouts. And then late in the game, there was a coaching decision by Tomlin. Instead of forcing the Browns to a 4th and 2 situation in the snow, final minutes of the game, Tomlin made the decision to accept a late penalty, which gave the Browns another opportunity, and that led to a game-winning, what turned out to be the game-winning touchdown. But the little things a problem. Here's Mike Tomlin talking about the end of game situation. Take a listen.
I thought it was a grounding. Initially, I couldn't realize that it wasn't ruled a grounding. I got information from them and made the call that we wanted to make. The distance was more important to us. If it wasn't grounding, we wanted to move them 5 yards back. They were potentially kicking into the wind, and so we wanted to stop them, and make the field goal a longer one.
So it's death by 1,000 paper cuts. The little things become the big things, and those big things determine the outcome of the game. The punter for the Pittsburgh football team, Corliss Waitman, if I ran the Steelers, I would have him hitchhike back. I say, all right, listen, there's no room on the trip back. You're going to have to hitchhike back to Pittsburgh. Good luck. Now, page 2. What does this performance by Russell Wilson do for the overall resume of the Steelers. So if you look at just the box score, if you didn't watch the game, Russ was perfect to start the game. I think it was like 10 of 10 or something like that to start the game. So he was completing a lot of passes. They weren't all perfect. But what I mean by that is it's one of those things where you complete passes short of the marker on third down, but the stats look good, but you're not getting the ball past the first down marker. But he had a good stat line. The result, unacceptable. And so what this does, and you Yinzers don't like to hear this, but listen, tough love. Tough love. This is validation for those pointing out that the Pittsburgh Steelers are second-class citizens in the AFC. That when it matters most, the Steelers, when they have to go into a playoff game and win a game in a nasty environment and all that, they will not be able to get it done. They just don't have enough firepower. They've not weaponized enough to get her done when they play Kansas City or Buffalo down the line. And so they are who we thought they were. Now, Mike Tomlin pointed out that his team at the beginning of the game there, it was just a sluggish start. Here's Tomlin on that.
I guess that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying it took us too long to warm up to the action. They brought it instantly early on. Thought we settled down and got competitive, but as you mentioned, it produced some negativity, particularly in the first half.
So Tomlin likes to say the standard is the standard. It's one of his famous phrases over the years. One of my other famous phrases, not from Tomlin, from another NFL coach, it's not trigonometry. It's not. And their job in Pittsburgh was to figure out how to win the game. They messed up the formula. And in the span of a couple days, you talk about helter-skelter. This is the personification of helter-skelter. So in the span of a few days, Pittsburgh beats Baltimore by kicking field goals, 6 of them, if I remember correctly. That was back on Sunday. And then they stubbed their toe against a bad Browns team. Let's not mistake the Browns for a good team. They blow. And that is a preview, as they say in the movie business, of coming attractions to a theater near you in January. All right, last word. I'll give you a couple minutes on the winning side here, the Browns, as they get her done. Now, this game not hyped up for Russell Wilson versus Jameis Winston. Instead, the hype was about the defenders. You had T.J. Watt for Pittsburgh, Myles Garrett for the Cleveland football team. So after the game had ended, Myles Garrett standing on top, he reminded everyone on the Amazon streaming service after the game his place in the football galaxy. He did show some respect to T.J. Watt, but ultimately, Myles Garrett said he is still the best defensive player in the NFL. All right, so where are you at on Myles Garrett and his proclamation that he is still the top NFL defender? So my position on this is it's not surprising. I think we can all agree on that. That is on brand. It's also, I would say, telling. And I always go back to, I call it the sweetness model. NFL legend from the Chicago Bears, Walter Payton, the great running backs in NFL history. And Walter Payton, he said it better than anyone else back in his day, many years ago. And he pointed out when you're good at something, you're going to tell everyone, like Myles Garrett saying, hey, I'm the top defensive player in the NFL. You're good. You're telling people that, right? When you're great at something, the people will tell you. So Myles Garrett is good. He's not great. And by him proclaiming he's still the top defensive player in the NFL, it's verification. Okay, it's verification. So the way the Browns celebrated, this was their Super Bowl. You had fireworks, you had snowball fights, you had snow angels. They celebrated like they had just beaten the Steel Curtain Steelers, the Terry Bradshaw era Steelers. That's the way they celebrated. Little over time. We had some redonkulous Jameis Winston moments. pregame speech and interviews during the game there from famous Jameis, who will have a chance, whether he makes it or not, who knows, but in the media world, he'll get one of those media jobs when he's done playing. He'll play a few more years. And he didn't play very well in this game. He had a fumble that he lost. He threw an interception. Did not have a touchdown pass. Did have a touchdown run in the game. But it was snowy conditions, but it was snowy for everybody. For everybody, it was snowy, I believe.